Allison's life has been so much brighter since she moved to Florida from Chicago. In a literal as well as figurative sense, she had made the best decision of her life. Originally from Chicago, she lived a gloomy existence, and once she made the move, she never looked back. The house advertisement caught her eye, and she had to have it as soon as possible. The location was perfect, and the fact that she could walk to the beach really caught her eye. No matter what, she would live in her dream home. In order to move down to Florida, she packed up everything she owned. The backyard gate connected her to the beach every day, and her house was perfect. When she opened her gate and stepped outside, she would greet her neighbors. There were so many friendly people here, she thought. It wasn't long before things started to change. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Single woman Allison Perkins was 36 years old. She is a Chicago native. She knew she would end up in another state since she had always wanted to explore her country. Although she loved Chicago and all it had to offer, she was looking for adventure and the sun, above all. Allison was overjoyed when she moved into her new house a few months ago. She had expected everything and more from this experience. Her backyard gate gave her access to the beach, and she could see the ocean every day of her life. It was like a dream come true. There was no way she could believe her good fortune. Things became difficult for her when a new housing development began taking shape right behind her house. The disturbance was a daily occurrence for Allison. She worked from home, and every day contractors talked loudly and hammers kept banging. Although she tried to ignore the racket, it only got worse as time went on. In the end, Allison was cool when they started using drills and angle grinders. Having endured enough of this noise, she was ready to give up. As she approached the contractor, she walked through the convenient backyard gate. "Excuse me, sir, do you mind keeping the noise level to a minimum? I have lots of work to do." Allison was regarded as if she came from another planet by the contractor. "Lady, I can't just stop working. We have a deadline to get these apartments up, and I can't tell my men to keep the noise level to a minimum because of one person. We're working as well. So please, if you don't mind, I've got to get back to it." Allison was left perplexed. She was surprised to hear that. The men instantaneously went back to drilling and hammering. Allison turned on her heels and went back to her house. Was this the way things were going to be for her? This was not how she had pictured living in her dream house. Each and every day, Allison had to put up with the noise, and every time she went through her little gate to confront them, she was swiftly dismissed. The men even laughed at her. However, things were about to take a serious turn when Allison decided to go away for the weekend. She traveled back to Chicago to visit her family and friends, and when she returned, things were just not the same. There was now a huge crane behind her house, hoisting lumber up and down. The construction was now in full force. But that was not the only thing she had noticed. She had the day off and decided to rather spend the day lounging on the beach instead of listening to the noise of the construction. She packed her beach bag and headed out. However, when she got to her backyard gate, something wasn't right. She tried to open it, but it just wouldn't budge. It seemed like her gate was stuck. She pulled and pulled, but it was no use. She scratched her head in confusion. "What's going on with this gate?" she mumbled to herself. She left it and decided to take the longer route to get to the beach. But when she returned to her gate, she could see what the problem was. It looked like someone had boarded up her gate from the outside. That was why she couldn't get out from her side of the gate. Who could have done such a thing? Allison was dumbfounded. The only person she could have thought to do this to her was the contractor. She marched up to him. She was going to give him a piece of her mind. "Who do you think you are? How dare you step foot on my property? Do you know that I can have you arrested for trespassing?" The man was taken aback by Allison's yelling. "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. Lady, please, what are you on about? I have no idea what you are hollering about." Allison stood her ground. She wasn't going to let them get away with this. "I'm talking about my gate. You had one of your guys boarded up. You didn't like it when I kept coming over to complain, did you? Remove these boards right now, or I'm calling the police." The man saw that Allison was going to be a thorn in his side. "Look, lady, I don't know what you're talking about. This was not us. But I did see someone busy with the gate on Saturday morning. I don't know who it was, but it was pointed was some woman wearing a fancy suit. Allison's eyes widened in shock and fury. A woman in a fancy suit? That description didn't match anyone from her neighborhood. She marched back to her gate and examined the crude boarding job. The shoddy workmanship and the deliberate attempt to confine her felt like a violation of her freedom. She could not fathom how the HOA board, an entity that had no jurisdiction over her non-OA neighborhood, could stoop so low. Determined to seek justice, Allison gathered her evidence and stormed into the next OA board meeting. Faces turned towards her as she entered the offices, a mix of curiosity and apprehension evident among the board members. "I demand an explanation," Allison's voice echoed in the room. "Who gave you the right to board up my gate? This is outrageous, and I won't stand for it." The whole president, a stern-faced woman, tried to maintain composure. "Ms. Perkins, this is highly irregular. Our jurisdiction doesn't extend to your neighborhood." "Are you sure it was us?" Allison presented the evidence, including witness statements and the description of the mysterious woman in the fancy suit. The room fell silent as the realization dawned on the HOA board members. After a tense moment, the HOA president sighed and admitted, "It appears there might have been a misunderstanding. We did discuss the new development behind your house and the noise complaints, but we never authorized such actions. If someone from our board did this, it was without our knowledge." Allison was seething with anger, but also felt a twinge of satisfaction at the admission. The board members exchanged uneasy glances, realizing the gravity of their mistake. The news of the HOA's misguided intervention spread like wildfire through the neighborhood. A wave of public outcry surged, and residents began questioning the authority and ethics of the OA board. It became a scandal that drew attention from local media. Allison, initially a victim, became a symbol of resistance against unjust authority. Her fight for the freedom to access her own property struck a chord with many, even those outside her neighborhood. As the scandal escalated, Allison decided to take legal action against the OE board for their trespassing and violation of her property rights. The courtroom became the stage for a dramatic showdown, with lawyers arguing over jurisdiction, boundaries, and the limits of authority. The trial became a spectacle, drawing media attention far beyond the neighborhood. The HOAians noting pressure to rectify their actions and compensate Allison for the emotional distress caused by their thoughtless decision. The legal battle transformed into a rallying point for the community, with neighbors joining forces to support Allison. Protests outside the HOA offices became a common sight, demanding accountability and transparency. Amidst the chaos, the HOA president resigned, and the board publicly apologized to Allison and the entire neighborhood. The incident prompted a reevaluation of the HOA's policies and procedures to prevent such overreach in the future. In the end, Allison emerged victorious. The court ruled in her favor, condemning the HOA's actions as a blatant violation of property rights. As part of the settlement, the OAA agreed to cover the legal fees and compensate Allison for the emotional distress she endured. The victory wasn't just a personal triumph for Allison, it was a triumph for the entire community. The incident sparked a renewed sense of community unity, prompting residents to actively participate in HOA bonds and voice their concerns. The once divisive HOA became more transparent, accountable, and responsive to the needs of the neighborhood. With the legal battle behind her, Allison could finally enjoy the peace and tranquility she had originally sought in her dream house. The construction behind her property eventually finished, but the neighborhood had changed for the better. The experience brought the community closer together, fostering a spirit of understanding and collaboration. Allison, now a respected figure in the neighborhood, took on a leadership role, helping to bridge the gap between residents and the HOA. The incident, though challenging, had inadvertently transformed her into a catalyst for positive change. As time passed, Allison found it in her heart to forgive the HOA for their misguided actions. The apology and changes implemented by the board demonstrated a commitment to learning from their mistakes. The neighborhood, once divided by the incident, now thrived on a newfound sense of understanding and cooperation. Allison's journey from confusion and frustration to victory and redemption not only reshaped her life but also left an indelible mark on the entire community. The once boarded-up gate became a symbol of resilience, reminding everyone that they had the power to stand up against injustice and forge a better future together. Looking back, Allison marveled at how a seemingly simple act of boarding up a gate had ignited a chain of events that reshaped the destiny of her neighborhood. It was a testament to the strength of community bonds and the ability of one determined individual to spark change. With the lessons learned and the scars healed, Allison Perkins embraced the next chapter of her life, grateful for the unexpected journey that had led her to a place of triumph and community harmony.